The stars are right, and that means it's time for another episode of The Whisper in Darkness. I'm your host, the Man from Lang. Thank you very much for joining me today. On this episode, we are wrapping up our look at the Seeker cards in the Path to Carcosa Investigator expansion. In this episode, we discuss Eidetic Memory, Arcane Insight, and No Stone Unturned Level 5. There are spoilers throughout if you care about that sort of thing. If you enjoy what you hear, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Before we get started, a quick reminder of how we rate cards here on The Whisper in Darkness. The best of the best get an Elder Sign, while the worst of the worst get an Auto Fail, and the cards in between get a +1, 0, or Elder Thing respectively. Cards that you build around or cards that are good in one particular deck get a Bless token, while cards that we believe are destined to end up on the list of taboos or are simply bad for the big game get a Curse token. Before we get started, I'd like to thank the patrons of this channel for their tremendous support. You all rock. If you'd like to be amazing like these people and support the channel's goals and see your name on this list, head over to patreon.com, sign up for a tier of your choice, and claim your rewards. That would be awesome. Special thanks to Cole Monroe Chitty, Nicole Fiscus, and Nate Lost in Time and Space for their contributions to the channel. I couldn't do it without you. Without further ado, let's get started. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. We are making our way through the Seeker cards in the Path to Carcosa Investigator expansion. I think this is part 4 or part 5 at this point. There are, because of the way the cards were divided up with the archaic glyphs and whatnot. The first card we're going to take a look at is Eidetic Memory. It is an event that has no cost, costs 3 XP, Intellect and Agility skill icons, Spirit trait. Play Eidetic Memory as an exact copy of an Insight event in any investigator's discard pile, including its resource cost. Remove that event from the game, remove Eidetic Memory from the game instead of discarding it. Thoughts on Eidetic Memory? Now, I did take a look at the Insight trait. There are, as of the Scarlet Keys, there are roughly 96 cards with the Insight trait that run the gamut from useless all the way up to Knowledge is Power. So your mileage with this one may vary. What do you guys think about this one?
That's the one thing that I remember about this card, is that it's basically Knowledge is Power 3 and 4 in certain decks.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I want to like this card simply because it's an unprecedented effect within the rest of the entire card
you're right.
pool. And like for that, it's unique, but it is very contingent on anything else that you're playing, or I guess anything else your group is playing.
So here's the thing. It's recursion. It feels like it's appropriately costed and appropriately designed recursion. Notice how it removes itself from the game.
And its target.
Oh, yeah. Move that event from the game. Yeah. I feel like this was designed in the game where recursion was appropriately costed and appropriately designed. So like in the game that didn't have deck flipping, this would be about right. Because you have to spend 3 XP to get a third copy of an event. It's like, oh my god, this event is so good. I'm willing to spend 3 XP for it, and I can't. And you can never like get this back, to do it a 5th or 6th time. So like, but the problem is the game we have now, like you can just power draw through your deck and get your events 3, 4, 5, a million times. So I think given that recursion is so cheap in the game as we have, like this thing is kind of overcosted. Plus it doesn't recur itself. So if you're doing like a deck flipper, you never get this back, and you never get the event you target back. So so I think I don't know. I think if they ever fix the deck flipping rule, the stock in this thing will go up. But like as it stands, it's kind of not that great because you're probably better off just like buying a second copy of your Insight event that you want. Like buying a Cryptic Research, for example. You're probably better off. Like it always works. You don't have to wait for a good event to hit the discard pile before you can use it. Also, this thing has terrible icons, too. So, yeah, it's one of those things where, like, if the game was designed differently, this would be appropriate, but it's not. So it kind of tells you, how broken, like, recursion is in this game.
Yeah, like, you can clearly see the idea is that you copy Cryptic Research, and, like, that in and of itself is worth 3 experience, because Cryptic Research is ridiculous. It should probably remove itself from the game anyway, but that's a discussion for another point. But yeah, it feels very much in that sort of design path where Eidetic memory is copying some huge event that's worth all this time and effort to set up, like cryptic
Yeah,
research.
like deciphered reality or something. Like I
Mhm.
want my deck to play 4 deciphered realities in a game. Like, yeah, that's going to cost you 16 XP right off the bat, and that's what you're going to go for. Like, and that's it. But the thing is, like, it's cheaper to just draw through your whole deck and do it again.
Mhm.
Is kind of the issue. And then the fact that you have to wait for the event to get drawn and played before this will do anything, it kind of kills it as well. Yeah, so I think in an alternate version of Arkham Horror, where they fix the deck flipping rule and they fix recursion, then this
Mhm.
thing is appropriate. But as it
Yeah.
is now, it's just not necessary.
Yeah, to me, this feels like a Magic card that kind of got lost in the pile.
Yep.
And it's really meant to be a Magic card, but it got printed
Yeah.
as an Arkham card by mistake.
Oh yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah, it totally makes sense. Right.
Yeah, it's interesting to look back on my first review of this card, and I think I was pretty positive about it because hey, you're copying the most powerful insight event in your discard pile. Like that's going to be amazing. But then it occurred to me like, well, why don't people play this? Well, because it's just easier to draw through your deck, like you said. And so you don't need this card. Decks that are going to be abusing powerful insight events have other ways of doing that. They don't need to spend 3 to 6 XP on this thing. They can just draw through their deck, they get it back, and go from there. Or they find some way of eliminating most of their deck so they end up with like the 3 or 4 events that they need and just plow through them that way. And again, this one isn't necessary. So I think back in the day, I think I rated this card basically on how I thought the game, in other card games, this card fits, right? Because you're not getting your deck back. And so being able to copy one of those insight events that theoretically you were never going to see again, hey, that's a great effect. But in a game where you can potentially see those events 2-3 times, it's not quite as useful. How would you guys rate this one?
I think I gotta give this one the big stinky tentacle because this thing kind of sucks. Unfortunately, it's a cool effect. It just, it doesn't belong in this game just because of the way the game kind of handles recursion.
Yeah, I agree. Plus, a lot of the insight vents, just like going through it, a lot of the insight vents that you're going to be copying are going to be like 0-1 XP anyway, unless you're doing the monster, cryptic research number 3 play. Yeah, at which point you're playing cryptic research and you don't need this anymore. So yeah, I'm going to give it's just the wrong game. I do appreciate that someone somewhere along the line, like, had the bright idea that like recursion needed a cap. Like. But it happened to be when they were testing this card, not when they were designing the deck flipping rule. So I'm gonna give this a tentacle, but with a bit of laughter.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think this one, I may have been positive on it way back when, but I think the game, the way it evolved, just made this card unnecessary.
Yeah.
If you're trying to abuse insight events, there are other ways to do it, and spending 3 to 6 XP for this is just not going to be what you're going to do. So this one gets an auto fail from me as well. Maybe this one will change if they change, like you said, Matastrophic. If they put a cap on deck flipping and being able to recycle infinitely, then sure, getting those events back using this might be good. But as it stands, you don't need a card like this to get your events back. So why spend the XP on it?
Yeah, I think the other issue too that we haven't touched on is that in the earlier campaigns, you also just don't have the experience to spend on this.
Oh God,
like,
no.
Once you buy cryptic research, that's kind of it.
Yeah, that's true. 3 is a lot because you're going to be spending 3 and you're probably going to be copying an event that costs 0 XP, and that's going to feel real bad.
The next card we're going to talk about is Arcane Insight. It's a 3-cost asset that costs 4 experience points. Willpower and intellect skill icons. Spell trait uses 3 charges. As a free triggered ability, while an investigator is taking his or her turn, spend 1 charge. Your location gets -2 shroud until the end of this turn, limit once per turn, and it takes up an arcane slot. Here's another card that I have not played, but I can certainly appreciate the ability to grant a high shroud location -2 shroud. What do you guys think about this one?
This card is kind of weird. Like on the one hand, it seems like a pretty good ability to be able to basically give anyone a flashlight on demand, but it's your location. So it's not the location that the investigator is at, it's your location. Which is
true. That is a little
weird when you think about it. Like, it doesn't quite work the way you want it to.
That's right. It doesn't say
It's a really
yeah.
big hindrance on this card.
Oh, wow, you're right. Because it doesn't say an investigator at your location. It says your location gets -2 shroud for the investigator all the way across the table.
Yes. Like, that's what's weird about it.
That
It's
is
like, you would
weird.
think it would give their location -2, but no. It's your location.
That is weird. I wonder if that got like a last minute change in playtesting or something.
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, that is weird. Yeah.
But it seems like an okay effect, but at 4 experience, you're really just paying for a fancy flashlight. And
yes. That being said, I think this thing is back in style now that the Scarlet Keys have come out, and we were discussing things like Shroud Zeroing with Shadow Light, things like that.
Yeah, but come on, that's Shadow Light. That's not Arcane Insight doing the work.
Okay, that's true. That's true. But I'll say that I think there's like, how to describe it. I've also personally been playing Arcane Insight lately, and but I'm playing like a very specific Survivor Seeker build right now where. The idea is not even to use Shadow Light. It's just to get the shroud down to 2. We're playing on hard, by the way, and the idea is just to get the shroud down to 2. So look what I found always covers me, is kind of the idea. And so I look at this and I say, all right, well this is giving me +2 to like 9 investigate tests, and I'm like, okay, that's pretty good. More if I manage to like get extra action somehow. Yeah, and I'm like, that's not bad. So let's just say this: if you're the type of deck that likes the idea of level 3 flashlight from way later in Scarlet Keys, and this is kind of like the ultimate level 3 flashlight, right? Because it works for multiple tests. Also, what's really nice is that unlike regular flashlights and old key rings and stuff, it like stacks with whatever you're doing. So like I've been combining this with winging it, to like get the shroud down to like 0 or 2 in as I want to do. Then I get covered by things like lucky and and look what I found. That's kind of the whole deck idea, kind of like a low, not a shroud zeroing, but a low shroud. And I'm finding it's one of those things where this card is like very expensive XP, but like it kind of does work. You just have to like not play better Seeker cards. You know what I mean? Like I think it's very like by the numbers, like it's deceptive, and I like this. I especially like it now that there are ways to reload those charges. Yeah, when it came out, like 3 costs for like 3 charges of this it felt kind of steep. But like you can reload charges pretty cheaply. I mean, you could reload flashlight charges less cheaply. So I think there's like a niche for this now. Yeah. I think it has one. Yeah, a niche. And I don't know. I also like the fact that if you really need to, even on like a low shroud location, like you could give someone else -2 shroud. And yourself -2 shroud, because it says once per turn, right? So I can give myself -2 shroud, and then I can give my friend -2 shroud. So I can turn like a fighter into like an investigator for their turn, and I think there's some value there, being able to like blitz a location by turning other people's actions into useful actions. Yeah, I think it's something it's overlooked. Yeah,
I think Scarlet Keys specifically, this seems really, really good.
Oh yeah, because you want shrouds to be really low for concealed mechanics. Yeah, like no, that's perfect, because then you're giving someone like a rogue who has like 4 actions. You really want to make the shroud low so they can like expose things. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I think what you're getting at is what I'm trying to get at. The idea is like by the numbers, like this thing's actually not that bad. It's just a lot of XP. Yeah.
Yeah, and to me, I guess skipping right to the ratings, this is something you have to build your whole kind of deck around. So this
I'd say so. Yeah, because
it's a big payoff card, right? Like,
it is.
You're spending your XP on this with the explicit goal of doing something with it, right? Like
Yeah,
If you're
I
playing
agree.
this as flashlight, it's not good.
Yeah, I agree. If you're just using it to like get +2 to a bunch of investigates, like, you don't need to spend 4 XP to do that. You can just run more skill cards, and at that point, you can do things like you can do the glyphs and just discover multiple clues per action. This one, because this doesn't give you any action compression, at all. So it's kind of in the same vein as like In the Know, where it kind of like helps you manipulate shrouds. So yeah, I'm gonna give this one a bless because I feel like you have to not be a seeker. You have to be a seeker because it's a level 4 seeker card, but you have to not be a seeker that is all about stacking your intellect, because this is like the opposite, And if you look at this as just another intellect stacker, then it's very overpriced. But if you do other things with it, then you might find its niche. So I'm gonna go straight to bless without even consulting Cameron, and all of his experiences with it, because I bet you he's used this in Harvey to like do amazing things, and he's about to blow our minds.
I have never played this card. I do not have 4 XP to afford this card, and I don't much like paying 3 resources for it either. I'm going to give it an Elder Thing.
Yeah, okay.
I just, I mean, I can appreciate that you can lower the shroud, but since it is a high level seeker card, if you're playing a 5 intellect seeker, you're usually not having issues getting clues. And so gaining extra clues is more important to me than reducing the shroud. That's just so
oh man.
This one gets an Elder Thing, and I mean I could even give it an auto fail just because I would never play in solo. It's just not interesting.
How about that artwork though? So what's
a splitting headache?
Yeah. Look at that! Like, what is this? Arcane Insight is like his head is ripping open. Like, what is going on with this guy? You know what? It looks like someone took the hyperphysical shotcaster and he just shot himself with the hyperphysical shotcaster, and it just like blew a ray like through his head, and now it's like ripping his face open. Either that, or it's like that part. Is it the little end of the Little Mermaid where like someone's transforming and their fingers are all glowing these like ray beams or something while it's Beauty and the Beast, right? It's the very end of Beauty and the Beast where like he's transforming and there's these like rays coming out of his out of his fingertips and out of his mouth and stuff. That's what's going on. This is Disney art right here.
If you're playing Scarlet Keys, it probably gets a lot more use out of it because of concealed.
But the way Shroud works,
Yeah, in most campaigns, you probably just want some way to just spew a bunch of clues into your play area.
Yeah.
Speaking of cards I have not played because I don't have the experience points in solo to afford them, this is No Stone Unturned, 2-cost event that costs 5 XP, Wild and Intellect Skill Icon Insight trait. Fast, play during any free-triggered ability window, choose an investigator at your location. That investigator searches his or her deck for a card, draws it, and shuffles his or her deck. So this differs from the level 0 version in a few ways. I believe the level 0 version is not fast and is limited to the top 6 and is limited to your turn. This one basically removes all the restrictions and lets you go and get whatever card you want. But at 5 XP, thoughts?
Arkham is very much a game where tutoring cards is a trap. Because of the way the game asks you to play, which is in that you really need your starting assets from the very beginning of the game. And if you don't, you get punished, right? So like a card like this in theory seems really good, right? If I don't happen to see it within 10 cards, then I can go get it. There's a couple problems with that. One is it costs 5 experience. Yikes. 2, you tend to just want more cards, not one specific card in this game. Because of skill tests and actions in general. Like, you're doing multiple things per turn, so card advantage is often better than card selection. Because you're trading a card. So unless you have some very specific strategy where you need one specific card like always on the table for it to work, then this card, even I think at that point, you probably just want to churn through your deck.
Yeah.
And then later on, you get Mr. Rook, and then this card just becomes completely useless. Because Mr. Rook just searches through your whole deck anyway. So
Yeah.
there's that. And really, oftentimes, like, no stone 0 is enough. I can't really think of a situation, like, outside of maybe I need Ward of Protection in Mythos phase.
Oh,
or maybe that could be useful, but really, like, I can't really justify 5 experience for this effect.
Yeah, especially since Cryptic Research is 4. Yeah, that's really hard to do. Yeah, it makes it feel like this is overcosted at 2 resources and 5 XP compared to Cryptic Research. Which gives you the volume you need. Yeah, I want to like this thing though because of like the teamwork aspect. Like I kind of like it. So this is one of those. It suffers from those problems where like utility cards that are worth XP just like always get ignored because there's always something that you want. Like you don't like sit down and say I want to make a no stone unturned deck. Nobody does that. You go I want to make a Decipher Reality deck or a Glyphs deck or something. And so you never have enough XP to be able to afford this. That being said, like on its face, like the fact that you could do it for the whole team is like really interesting. Like the more I think about it, because you can help anyone get their key asset. I mean, there's that, and it's also fast, so it doesn't cost you any actions. But then I started thinking the Mythos phase, like you can do this mid skill test, and that's what had me thinking. Because so like you can run into a situation where like your friend is making a skill test, and they really want this very particular skill card, or somebody at the table has a particular skill card that's going to totally save the day. Hey, no stone unturned. I'm looking at you, Eye of Truth. One of the love that card. One of the like most deceptive utility cards in the game. Eye of Truth. And I was just thought, wow, wouldn't it be awesome if I could just summon up an Eye of Truth like whenever I want, whenever anyone needs it? Oh, that's amazing. And this kind of does that. So I think it's one of those things where it's utility. Often this game doesn't really reward utility all that much, especially utility that costs XP. But if you go outside the lines a little bit and you're swimming in XP and you could afford utility, this is probably one of the strongest options you can pick. Do you see what I'm saying? Like if you don't need a key asset or a key event, like and you're just swimming in XP, this is probably as good as it gets. Because like you're gonna spend 2 resources and someone's gonna get like. And I'm talking like in a 4-player situation where you have like 120 cards just out there, on the board or more, and like you're helping somebody get the perfect one at the perfect time. I don't know. This seems pretty good. Yeah.
Like that's the issue though. It's like it seems good, but then like you think about I have to spend 5, 10 experience to get that.
Yeah.
And is it really worth it at that point?
No, I agree. Especially since Cryptic Research is 4, and yeah, that's like. Such a strong card. Yeah, I agree. That's why this rarely happens. That being said, you're gonna be a hero if you can afford this and play it. There's that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like even in that situation that you described, like, is it really that good? Like maybe I guess, but
yeah,
like you could probably name a dozen other 5 experience cards that would also be good in that situation too. So I don't know. Like
yeah, that's true.
That's what I'm saying. It's a trap. Like
yeah, it kind of is.
Tutor effects are kind of a trap in this game. Like I've kind of felt that way about Prepared for the Worst to some extent as well.
Oh yeah, okay.
Like any card where you're searching for a specific type of something within like the top 9, or even in this, it's a tutor effect. And they're just traps because Arkham is not a game that really rewards you for card selection. It's a game that rewards you for filling up your hand with a ton of cards and then spewing them out at the skill test.
Yeah, it's kind of true.
So paying 5 experience for this just doesn't align with the game's goals.
I guess you do have to kind of walk apart from what the game wants you to do in order to like get good use out of this. I see what you mean.
Yeah, as the solo player here, I never have the experience to buy 1 copy of this, much less 2. And the way I build my solo decks, I usually have a lot of redundancy. So if I don't get card A I need, I probably have card B or card C that will do roughly the same thing, whether that's investigate, evade, or fight. And so I just never need this one. And I mean, I can see what you're saying, Matastrophic, that in a multiplayer setting, the ability to go grab a card for somebody else who hasn't drawn the key piece of the puzzle.
Yep.
But if you need to do that, I would kind of question how they have built their deck.
Well, on the other hand, though, I'm thinking like odds. You know, when you have 4 players, the odds go up that someone's gonna have a bad draw. Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah, so there you go.
I don't know, but are you spending 5 XP to help somebody else?
That's what I'm saying. You gotta be. If you're swimming in XP, you know, it is one of the things. Because the thing is, remember, these are seekers, right? And seekers often are like, you're good enough for the whole game at like 9 XP, often enough. Like you don't have to go all in on like glyphs and double like.
Come on, at this point, you probably need 3 experience. You probably just need
that's what I'm
ed.
saying. If you're going to be one of those people who just like, okay, I've bought higher ed, and like, that's my deck, and then I buy 2 shortcut level 2s, and because I want to help the friends, and it's like, that's all I really need to play, then like, this becomes pretty cool, because it's like, you're a seeker, like, just having a 5 intellect and like 7 XP means you are completely ready to go, you know, and I'm thinking
I could see Daisy doing that, right? Like, Daisy could... I think at this point in the game, she could pick up higher ed, shortcut, maybe even word protection level 2, and pick up this, and that would be her whole deck.
And she's good. Yeah, like she doesn't need anything else. That's the
in
thing.
My opinion, why aren't you picking up cryptic research in that? But whatever.
This is true. Yeah, it's like cryptic research does the thing, and it's pretty good. Yeah, but you got higher ed. What do you need cryptic research for? Just pay through.
But like the other thing I think with that deck too is you can play Old Book of Lore, and Old Book of Lore allows you to kind of stack your own deck, and then you just throw card draw at everyone else.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like, I think this card's a trap.
Yeah, I get it, Nate. You gotta walk apart. Yeah, it's one of those things where you have to like avoid all the brokenness of Seeker along the way. And if you manage to like balance, you know, across that tightrope, and then you're on the other side, this is what you spend your XP on. Yeah, there we go. I think I've explained it. Yeah.
Ratings? I'm giving this an auto fail from a solo player's perspective.
I think I'm gonna give it an auto fail too, simply because it's a trap. It's not.
Oh wow!
It's not worth the experience.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, like on the face. Yeah, you totally in the universe in which we have right now. Yeah, god damn. I can't give it an auto fail though because it's like, like if you look at it, like look, even the icons are good.
Look, I know it reads get a card out of your deck, but that effect is just not good in this game.
I know.
It's like weird to a lot of people that play other card games, but this effect just isn't that good.
I know. I know, Nate. I know. It's one of those things where it's like you have to be swimming in XP, or you have to avoid you have to be walking that tightrope of Seekers.
Ah. And then it's like you spent 5 XP on an effect that just does not feel like an effect that.
I know. I am coming from the point of view where, like, if you're playing a Seeker, because you're so broken already that you don't even need XP at all. All right, 0. Putting my foot down. Plant that flag. I'm saying, guys, be a better friend. That's what this card. What this card has is it has that thing that guy's reading in the artwork. It's a guide to being a better friend. So that's what it is. It's a 0 for friendship. All right. If you're a Seeker player, play more friendship and less selfish, and you'll have better game experiences.
Or if you want to be a friend to the other players at the table, you can spend your XP on a better card that will help the team overall.
Damn it.
Like, come on, man. Who's going to complain? Oh, hey, buddy, I'm playing this cryptic research on you. Would you like 3 cards? Or would you like to go tutor 1 card? Everyone's going to pick draw 3. Everyone is picking Ancestral Recall in that situation, right? Okay, let me ask you this. If you've ever played Magic, which is on the Power 9? Ancestral Recall or a tutor?
Got it. I just realized something, guys. So throughout this whole conversation, I literally thought that cryptic research only targeted yourself.
No! It's any investigator! That's what's so dumb about it.
All right, Elder Thing. We're giving this thing an Elder Thing, then.
That is awfully generous.
Yeah, that's going to do it for our look at the last of the Seeker cards. Let us know in the comments down below what you think. How would you rate No Stone Unturned at level 5? Have you purchased it? Have you played it? Was it valuable or not? Let us know in the comments. Any final thoughts on the Seeker cards in the Path to Carcosa Investigator expansion overall?
I like that this feels kind of like we took a step back in power level a little bit in the Seekers.
You're right. Compared to Dunwich, this feels so appropriate compared to Dunwich. Yeah.
Like,
my God.
There's some good effects in here. Like, Shortcut level 2 is very good. Eureka is very good. Field work is good. In the know is it's kind of its own thing. There's clearly something going on there.
Logical reasoning. Like, love that card.
Logical reasoning is also very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's some just good, solid utility cards in this set for Seekers.
Yeah, and even when you get into things like Charles Ross, like you start to see a different view on like the Seeker as like kind of like a teamwork type of type of player. Yeah, if you like if you hold this up to Dunwich, this feels like more like balanced, this set. Yeah. So it's like, man, I can't believe I thought that cryptic research only affected your cell. But
it's a shame.
You learn things. Yeah. But
I don't know if I would say that this is particularly balanced when you've got cards like Archaic Glyphs.
I was about to mention that. You got to scratch Archaic Glyphs off the list, all right? Because you know what? It's the Seeker. Yeah. At least one of them is going to be completely broken, all right? It's just how Arkham works. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you give Archaic Glyphs a curse because it has no limit, you give Eureka a curse because it is...
I was about to get to that one too. I was literally about to talk about Eureka, and then here you come barging in, telling me how dumb I am. Yeah, but I was literally about to
I mean, Eureka is like kind of an anomaly just because it's so good in every deck.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of wonder at this stage of the game, because we have, because of Dunwich and Higher Ed, a lot of the XP cards in this one just sort of fall flat because
it's true.
You're spending your XP elsewhere and you're not looking at them. Now, there are some very useful effects. I mean, I really like Forewarned.
Yeah.
But, you've got Scientific Theory, you've got Arcane Insight, you've just got all these cards that just don't see play because...
It's almost as if you've just made the case for a taboo list.
That's going to do it for this episode. If you enjoyed what you hear, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you need to contact me, I can be reached at manfromlang@gmail.com. I'm also on Twitter at manfromlang. Until the stars are right, keep your shotgun close and your elder sign closer. Take care out there, and happy investigating.